Well, good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. This is our Friday edition, February 23rd, Rising Tides Coffee Club. And this is a space where we come together as agents in the area to kind of get some ideas on how to grow our businesses. And so we have a couple of new faces, quote unquote faces. They're black flags. Nicholas, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I can stop hiding, I guess. Hi, my name's Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Lovely got Melanie here. Fortunately connected me with you guys and wanted to see what you guys are all about and wouldn't mind learning a little bit from you guys. So
Awesome.
nice to see everyone's faces.
Thanks for joining us. Ashley, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello.
Hey, Ashley.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I am just joining. I'm not really sure what what we're doing here. I just saw that it came up and I'm interested to learn something. So
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming. What brokerage are you with?
Keller Williams, North Sound.
North Sound. Okay, cool. And let's see, Jim. I know you're not new, but Jim's with us. You sometimes we have Alan, Conrad's with John L. Scott. Jim, Preview Group, is that right, Jim? I think so. I can't remember. But anyways, welcome everybody. And yeah, just to kind of give you, Ashley, an idea is Rising Tides Coffee Club. There's one that's on Thursdays. This one we've been running on Fridays. And it just provides another option for agents to come together. So we just kind of started it in a little of a different format. We don't have a speaker. Actually, it's more or less organic, like topical, organic, like what is your greatest need, and learn from each other. Joe has got 20 plus years in the business. Conrad's been in it for about 4 or 5 years. Alan, I know, is 20 years in the business. Vance is many years in the business. So it's being able to have new and experienced agents coming together and sharing how to just get better at real estate. So with that, the topic today is unreasonable hospitality. And it's like the book is right across the way. So I was like thinking of topics and I was like, ooh, right over there. And I thought what we would do is kind of come up. I've got to shut my door. Hold on 1 second. I think because everybody's business is different, is come up with some touch points throughout the transaction. Has everybody read the book Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Cordara?
Reading it now.
Okay, yeah, I haven't finished
No.
it yet, but I'm still reading it. Did you say yes, Ashley?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so let me give you kind of the cliff notes. Essentially, this individual is a restaurant owner. I believe it's a 4-star or 5-star Michelin award winner, which is like high, best quality you can achieve. And it's kind of his story of going from college to owning these restaurants. And we've all heard stories of like the Ritz-Carlton and stuff like that, where these are organizations that exemplify like a high level of customer service. And the principles are in that, is finding ways to provide hospitality that exceeds expectation. And for those of you that have been doing real estate for a while, there are some easy transactions and then there are some crazy transactions, right? And all of them, right, can kind of wear on us differently. But the one thing that is constant is that the emotional stress on a buyer and seller is one of the highest things that you do when you go to buy or sell, right? Probably next to childbirth and a death of a loved one. I wouldn't put them up that high, but it is, and it depends on the individual. So we all have stories about people that just are really emotionally drained after going through this process. And by bringing in some touch points, we can create an experience that actually brings you more business. All right. So I'm going to bring up a document so that we can kind of, and I'm going to try to send these notes out to y'all. So Let's start at the meet and greet. So what I want to do is popcorn ideas. So you can just come off mute. Popcorn ideas on how to create the experience unreasonably hospitable, okay, for each of these kind of milestones, right? Okay, so let's start with the meeting and the first meet and greet, or even the first interaction, buyer or seller. What is some way that you can provide a 10x experience when it comes to whether it's a buyer strategy session, seller listing presentation, just that first meeting? What is something you could do? And this is just popcorn, so.
I always want to talk to them about them first. I want to get to know them, that this is, people want to be seen and heard. And so if they feel important, then it's going to go better.
Awesome. That's great.
One thing I've been doing with buyer consults is coming to them. So instead of saying, you can meet me at my office here, I consider every Keller Williams office, whether it's Ben Kinney or not. I'm part of Ben Kinney office, but so I just met with the client. She just signed with me yesterday, which is good, but she lived in Federal Way. I live in Burien, but she was willing to come to me, but I said, no, let me come to you. And so I think she appreciates that. If you kind of come to them, it makes them feel a little more special and that you're putting in the effort. So that's just one little thing that I do.
All right.
Yeah.
I would say like be authentic. I know that a lot of people, myself included, can tell if someone is kind of being very scripted and they don't, they're not being themselves. I can tell pretty quickly, and I know a lot of other people are that way as well. And I think just really figuring out what I believe in and why I'm doing what I'm doing really helps with that when I go to meet with somebody.
So talk to me about what authenticity looks like during a first meeting.
For me, like I'm new, so I don't have a whole lot of experience, but I've done a few buyers consults, and I don't know, everybody here knows that real estate exam doesn't teach you anything about anything at all. I really just was, yeah, but I just had to like reflect on my home purchase and other purchases I've made where I've had to communicate with somebody who's selling me something. And I guess just I don't know, like not being too pitchy about things, and then maybe just sort of maybe explaining the process. Like I was completely clueless when I bought my house. I had no idea that I even needed earnest money when it came time to give it. And I had to scramble to find the earnest money because we were really broke when we bought our house. We were very tight on money, but so we had to figure something out. And just maybe caring about the person and how how much of an impact it has on people's lives. It could be a really good experience or it could be a really horrible experience, and it's kind of up to me to help with that.
That's great, Ashley. Thank you for sharing. I like that. After here's an idea of unreasonable hospitality. Let's say you're meeting at a coffee shop. What if you brought them a little gift?
Yeah.
So what are some ideas of gifts that you could bring somebody just at your first meeting? Oh, I just brought this for you. I have like a swag mug, which is the Eastside Real Estate Team, mug that, with a couple of pens in it, and we have some hand sanitizer, that kind of thing back when that was really big deal. So it's a little self-serving, but here, hey, I brought you a coffee mug, right? Who doesn't like a coffee mug and it has my face on it? I'm just kidding. It doesn't. What are some other ideas of gifts that you can bring at that first meeting?
What's weird about that is I see you using my coffee mug in the office. I'm just saying.
Well, those mugs are gonna get replaced real soon.
So your coffee
Oh,
mugs
it's
are
on.
big ones.
It's on. Kelly Black, you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that. I've got a couple of those in my house.
Well, Kelly earned them.
Kelly earned them.
I think
Danny
Don,
just
what would be
preloaded.
perfect for you would be a Don Edwards sippy cup.
Sippy cup. Okay, let's get back on topic. This is being recorded. I don't need to take this abuse, okay?
Yeah.
What are some unreasonable hospitality gifts? Like, I'm thinking like a little bag of macarons or something like that, or
I met a guy at 2 weeks ago at Starbucks, and when he got there, I had a $15 gift certificate. I said, "Yeah, go ahead and order with this, whatever kind of thing." I said it better than that, but yeah, I handed it
so
to
you
him.
bought him coffee.
I did, but instead of sometimes it's like, "Hey, let me buy you coffee." They might feel weird.
Yeah.
So if you have something, they can just do it themselves. I'm already sitting at the table. I just kind of slid it over to him, said, "Hey, this is for you. Go ahead and get yourself something, whatever." And so
Also,
I've noticed
another.
he's my UPS driver, and he goes,
Uh-huh.
"Well, you trying to bribe me?" He actually said,
You said yes.
I said, no. Anyway,
Yeah.
But also too, like, you could definitely buy them coffee and have it ready for them. If you text them in advance, like, "Hey, I'm about to buy something. Do you want anything?" And then,
yeah.
and then boom, pound it, so obviously, but that's a different, right? That's a different thing. So what else, guys? What are some other good ideas?
I think a handwritten thank you card, and I do have piles of $5 Starbucks, and then I also like of course the name escapes me. There's a coffee shop by the courthouse in Everett.
It's narrative.
Narrative.
Narrative. Yep.
Yeah.
I
And
also
then
have
the other one
narrative
is
cards. And
Nadine's.
send it, thanks for the time. Your next cup of coffee's on me if I didn't get to buy their coffee when I was with them. Something like that.
Good. Now, one thing I want to go back to is setting the first meeting. So I don't have this here with me, but I've showed this before. We talked about listing presentations and stuff like that. Is I have, it's not a gift, but it's a brag box from our team that gets delivered before like a listing presentation. So, but also, I mean, I'm also looking for other ideas on how to make this, stand out as well. So,
What
I
is in
call
your
this
box?
pre-listing pack
Hmm.
/ brag box. So I actually stole this from Redfin, as a matter of fact. Is Redfin had this box, and inside was a magazine, and then it had like all the disclosures, right? So all the legal kind of stuff in there. But then there's a magazine, like I've done the 5-star magazine with my face on it, so I have a stack of those. And then I've got you can put the Place magazine, Joe, you can put that in the brag box. Some client testimonials on some nice paper so that they can kind of have that. And basically, an intro letter, like, "I'm super happy to see you, to meet you on Tuesday, next week at 11 o'clock. I can't wait to learn about your move." So it kind of creates in anticipation, some expectation that we meet. And the nice thing about that, when that happens, is when you sit down at the table and you say, "Oh, I know you got the information that I sent you." Yeah. And what you're going to find out is, did you read all that? Did you go over all that? And that actually kind of teaches you a story. It teaches you, are they a high D? Yes, I read all of it. Or excuse me, a high C. Yes, I read all of it and I made some notes and I have some questions, right? Or they're going to be like, "No, I didn't. I figured we'd go over it." That's a high D. So it's kind of a level of intel, but it's also a differentiator. Why? What percent of people raise your hand of the people on this call do that?
Send a brag box?
Yeah.
No
send a
brag box.
box. No?
No.
Okay. See, so who's standing out now? The one that did, right? So
Well,
think about that.
There's always, I'd like to chip in there if you don't mind, Dan.
Yeah.
Setting that expectation in advance is setting the table, and then actually working that expectation so that when you're meeting the person, that's your first impression. You talked about, you're gonna send them some information in advance, and you're kind of following through to see if, did they read it or not. They should expect that you're going to do that. So my impression, or my thought is that the meet and greet should really be set beforehand. Is that they know what you're there for. So it's more than just about, hey, I'd like to meet you and learn about your family. It is what are your goals? What is your reason? What is your why? And I focus on that in the meet and greet before we get into anything salesy.
Mm-hmm.
So I very seldom hand anything to my, prospective client until I've already gotten through that process.
And along those lines, I have a listing presentation. I did not send my brag box out to them yet, which is unfortunate. I should have done that. Let me see, but I do want to find something that I sent them. And so I'm looking for this, but along the lines of the expectations there, Kelly, that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I know you got here late. We're just talking about unreasonable hospitality. So how to take these processes and take them up to that next level. So that you stand out, you win more business, et cetera, et cetera. But I have a Google form that I send out to buyers and sellers. And it is that, Joe, you remember those questionnaires, the buyer questionnaire and the seller questionnaire, right? Before you go meet with somebody.
Yeah.
This one's been modified a little bit because I asked some questions, but let's see. Where's my form? Forms and links. You know what? I think it's in there. I'm moving stuff around. Somebody talk about something while I find this.
So you don't say, did you receive my brag box, do you?
No. Maybe. It depends on the person. Maybe. Yeah.
Well, whenever I talk about that, I always call it a humble brag, right? As the kids do, I think. So you're trying to do a humble brag so that it doesn't necessarily make you sound like a narcissist, right? So it's interesting how you do that. And I can learn so much from you guys. I always love listening to you guys.
I could say something like, oh, did my assistant said that? Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh geez, that's awkward. Okay, so here's the form that I do is what qualities are you looking for a real estate broker? Right out the gate, that's the first thing we ask. Major questions and concerns. Why are you moving? Why are you moving? About your home. To be better prepared, what do you love about your home? What do you not like? What are your upgrades? Scale of 1 to 10, what would make it a 10? Mortgage, etc. First, last name, phone number, so I get all that. I think I put it on. Yeah. How much do you think your home is worth? Right there. Is there anything else you need to know before our meeting? And then email address, spouses, hobbies and interests. I had somebody respond to this and they said NA or disallowed or something like that. Whatever it was, like, okay, guys, you're not going to respond, whatever. But it's going to be a very interesting listing presentation. So we'll see how that goes. But I said all that to just kind of say, Kelly was saying you're asking those questions, right? So I kind of give them this in this sense. But does anybody else have like that before the first meeting, how to make it special, how to make it unreasonably hospitable, like fun, nice? Like think of a restaurant, like when you set a reservation at a restaurant, right? What can we do? And I'm hoping that we can get some ideas that I've never thought of.
Mariachis? No,
Okay. Yeah.
just kidding. Yeah.
Creative juices, the power of the mastermind.
Well, I mean, this is a repeat because I've told you guys before, I'm kind of like a one-trick pony. I just rinse and repeat what works for 20 years. But when your pretense is set the first meeting, to me, the statistics prove that if you can get in front of them, you've got a really high chance of getting it. So the unreasonable hospitality that we do is what I've coined as first one's free, which is I will meet anybody. They want to see a random house. They want to grab coffee. You know, I mean, I don't really care. Meet at their house. Like, what do I got to do to get face to face with that person? Is it Zoom? Like, whatever it is. So it's just the unreasonable hospitality. This first one's free. You know, a lot of times there's a conversation about wasting time, and my joke is, if you want to worry about wasting time, this is not the industry for you. So we invest a lot of time, and not all of it returns, but I've built a pretty good career.
Awesome.
I
Okay.
agree. I agree with just getting in front of people. Because no meeting is a waste of time, because they're all opportunities. They're either an opportunity to work together or an opportunity to find something else. Or someone else. Because when I teach my home buyer ed classes, that's one of the things that I talk about is you can have a conversation on the phone or on Zoom or whatnot with people, but until you are working or seeing them face to face, I think that's a whole different level of connection or not connection. So I just try to tell people to choose a realtor and lender that works, that fits your needs.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I might not be it.
I like what Joe said too, the idea of, because we know how they've changed rules now and they want you to, hey, sign on with you before they know anything about you. So the idea, I do a lot of open houses. So I will say, you know, so going forward, you know, if you see a house you'd like to see the inside of, you know, don't wait and see it with the masses at an open house. Give me a call. We'll get you inside. And so just to let them know that, whether a house or two or three, I tell them, so that they know, and then they get to get a sense and a feel for me before I say, hey, sign with me for the next, you know, 6 months or a year, before you know anything about me. So I think it works for both parties that way, I think.
Nicholas, how about yourself? What do you do to make your clients or potential clients feel special? Are you still with us, Nicholas? Maybe you stepped away. How about you, Mary? I know you do a lot of fun things.
For my clients, you said?
Uh-huh.
Well, I feel like some of the things I did last year were unreasonable. Like I bought some of my friends gifts for their child in March and for his first birthday. And I also sent like
So hold on a second. Let's talk about where that was. What was the process? I mean, so these are people that are in your sphere of influence, right? And this was without a transaction pending or with a transaction pending?
the former without.
Without. Now, are they a client or not?
Not as of yet.
Okay, but what about the ones that bought the house in Covington?
You mean Robin and Jim?
No, Covington, that you helped them buy a house out there last year?
You mean Black Diamond?
Was it Black Diamond?
Oh, okay, yeah, we can actually revisit them. So yeah, I did send them like a custom walnut cutting board with their address and names engraved in it, and I'm like, was that a bad idea? I don't know, but
As a closing gift, right?
yeah, and then I bought them like a little stained glass mushroom off Etsy, and then a little like candle off Etsy. So I think they appreciated that for when Christmas time rolled around.
I do cutting boards, engraved cutting boards too, pretty religiously.
Okay. So,
But I also have done things like first day, like closing gifts, right? Like your first day in the new house type of thing, where it's got toilet paper and paper towels and trash bags, things that you might not have thought to brought with you on that. Anyway, stuff like that.
see, that's a good idea. Trash bags.
Yeah.
Like a cleaning kit.
So like if I'm making one of those in particular, it's like a laundry basket, a smaller laundry basket. It's got a 4-pack of TP. It's got a roll of paper towels, a hand soap, a trash bag. Usually I can find hand towels, kitchen hand towels that have something like "this is my happy place" or "my home," home is where the heart is, something like that. And then but yeah, I just just a gift like that. And then the other times, depending on the situation, they get that cutting board.
I also got their dogs roast beef on closing day, which they loved. So the owners told
Love
me
it.
they love roast beef. So I bought fresh deli from the.
So one of the things I'm doing here while you guys are talking is I'm writing out some of the, what we call milestones in the transaction. Because again, what the topic today is not what every real estate agent does, but what are some ideas on how we can be unreasonable in our hospitality? And I'm hearing a lot of some of the similar things. That's why I want you guys to go different places with your brains and say, what would it look like if you were a the Ritz-Carlton of real estate agents, and you took your care to that level, right? Okay, I'm a 5-star in customer service, realtor, right? I pretty much pay for that thing. I don't know what I do to get it, but if you were to really say, I'm the Ritz-Carlton of realtors, what would that look like in all of these milestones? How can we take that to that level?
Dan, maybe I'm gonna throw something out there. You guys tell me if it's too much or not. I met a couple, boy, now it's probably been about at least 6 weeks, maybe a little bit longer, at an open house, had a really good interaction with them. I knew she was pregnant. Of course, you don't mention that. I have 4 sisters. I've been trained. I know what you say and what you don't say, even though that's a pretty good sized baby bump there, but I'm not gonna, no, if you don't bring up your child, I'm not gonna talk about it.
Oh, made that mistake.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, so I got to talk to her on the phone once, and she goes, God, I never pick up, but she picked up. She was out, this is like a month ago, walking in the dark. I didn't know how much pregnant she was, but we had a good conversation. I basically had a 45-minute buyer consult on the phone. So really good thing. I said, I'd really love to get together with you and Jack. They live in Capitol Hill. They love it there. They could stay there another year if they had to, but they'd love to move closer to where he works at Valley General Hospital, right? I don't know if it's called Valley General, but whatever it's called. And so it was everything but set the appointment. I wanted to get back to them, caught them at the pediatrician, got to go, couldn't talk. I said, oh yeah, see you later, bye. Next time I called, she just had the baby. Of course, I wanted to find out, when are we expecting the baby, whatever. So what I like to do now, and I thought about, and I had 2 of my female colleagues say, is to buy him lunch or buy him dinner, or get him a gift certificate for like the deluxe in Capitol. So I went back and forth. It's like, $40-50, and it's like, they're not my client yet. Is it a tie that binds, or is it overly familiar? It's sometimes it's a little bit difficult, but we did have a really good connection as far as that goes. Yeah, I'd love to hear what people think. I have a friend that said that she did that with somebody, and she got them as a client. Before they were her client, she gave them a $50 certificate to a dinner or lunch or something like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think gifting really works. I try to do a lot of personal things. I happen to have a family that has one of those laser engraving machines. So we do, and I put a couple of things that we've done in the chat that I actually bought off Etsy. We do a coaster with longitude and latitude of the new home. The Snohomish property we just sold that I know a lot of you saw. I think everybody in the county saw. We did a watercolor because they lamented selling the home, but they were moving out of the area. I have a sorry. I have a very, very, very high net worth client. He has 4 personal homes that are all 7-figure homes. And I happened to be in Scottsdale, and he invited me to his house in Arizona. He lives in Washington part of the time. And I've learned that, like, when it comes to closing gifts or unreasonable hospitality, you want to love what they love. And well, this guy is absolutely enamored with his wife, and he loves his adult sons. What he really loves is his 4 horses. And when we were out with the horses, because that's what he loves, and I grew up cattle ranching, but I'd never seen this before. He had trained these horses to a treat, like you train a dog to a treat. And the treat was peppermint discs, those spiral red and white discs. So I try to purposely, when I'm with people and I'm in their home, or if we go to coffee, I try to know like what's their coffee drink, or, I mean, I'll even, when I'm walking by your car, I'll even look in your cup holder. Like if I see Red Bull in your cup holder, you're probably going to get a Red Bull from me. And so here's this guy feeding his horses these peppermint discs. So I took one of those when I got back. I took one of those flat rate UPS boxes, the small one. It's like $5.35 to ship. I went to Walmart across the street from the office, bought a bag of peppermint discs, like Walmart brand, like nothing nice. Did a handwritten note card, said, "Hey, really great to see you and your wife in Arizona. Thank you so much for inviting us over. Really enjoyed seeing the horses," because he pays to transport the horses between Washington and Arizona. And there's nothing in the world I could buy this guy. When I went to his Arizona house, he had just had this huge horse statue commissioned. Like, honestly, the horse statue probably cost more than most of our cars on this call. And so there's nothing you can do for this guy that, like I've given him $100 bottles of wine and that kind of stuff. And it's like, okay. But if you love what they love, he opened a box that had a handwritten card, but the box was full of peppermint discs for the horses. So that's one of our unreasonable hospitality plays. I earlier in this chat, I put a PDF series. Dan had access to the same material, but we actually did as a company, kind of a book study on it and talked about the 8 or 9 principles that he teaches in it, and that kind of thing. So, we're pushing ourselves to be thoughtful on like, what are the things that we can do to speak to them at that different level where you love, like I said, you love what they love. And when you love what they love you more. They just do.
Yeah, and I think that from a standpoint of observation is pay attention to the small things, right? Like you said, I like that point of walking by, looking and seeing a Red Bull in their thing, next time you see them, you can bring them one and they're gonna be thankful. Yeah, I like that. Hey, Nicholas, are you still there? I certainly wanted to have your input on this.
Yeah, sorry, I stepped away for a sec there.
No worries.
I might have missed the start of this topic. I apologize. Are we still on the hospitality piece?
Yeah, we're still talking about like in your touch points. Like I've got here on the list, I've got like baby gifts, I've got after an open house, handwritten cards, after a signing, after mutual acceptance on a deal, past inspections.
Yeah.
What are some ideas that you have to inject that feeling of this is a unique realtor? I mean, this guy.
Yeah.
What do you do?
So this is just kind of a case thing. I do a lot of for sale by owner, for rent by owner appointments. And one in particular, this was a woman who just recently had her husband pass. She was doing, intensive care for him the whole time. And I just kind of was talking to her and learned she liked the Huskies. I'm a big fan of the Husky football team. Like the Huskies, was at the national championship game, got to watch them lose, which was less than ideal, but
yeah, but at least we were there. So.
I knew her and her husband were big into college football, especially the Huskies. So I ended up picking up a shirt for her. She's not a client by any means at this point. It was just kind of a warm lead that I was hoping to nurture for a little bit longer. And I was in the line at the merch line and I was like, I'm gonna buy Linda a t-shirt just to kind of see, how that goes. And so I bought her a national championship t-shirt, and it turns out her and her husband had been going to every single Husky Bowl game for the last, however many years. And it was she was really excited to see it. She took a picture immediately, tried it on and loved it. So I'm hopeful, it turns into a listing, but at the very least, I at least gave her some peace of mind for at least she got that swag for her husband.
See, that's easy to do, right? Just pay attention and then, execute. That is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Jim, I think you were gonna share something. Yeah, I saw you come off out of hiding.
I just got up to open the door is all. I didn't have something I was going to share. I like everything I'm hearing. I've given gift baskets to people. On closing, I've given them kind of the essentials. I think it was Melanie was talking about, especially if they've moved from out of the area. I like Joe's comment about learn to love or like, what they like. I've certainly have given perhaps I gave shirts to the whole family once for Husky shirts. They were big Husky fans. I had a sign made for a client once that, without explaining why, I knew it was important to him, but I had a sign made that was probably 5 or 6 feet tall and at least the width of my arms wide. I had a woodworker engrave their last name on the entrance into the property. It was a big house. It was 5,900 square feet and 6 acres. And I knew, I'm kind of echoing what Joe said. I knew that was important to him to see their name when they drove in, and where they got it put up right away. It's cool.
I love that. And you know what? I was in Chicago visiting a friend of mine who I helped him sell his family house of 20 years. And on the wall in their apartment in Chicago, and Joe, you posted a picture, was a watercolor that I had commissioned. This was actually not, you can get them now online and stuff like that, but this was a friend of mine who does watercolor. And she did it and, did, Jansma, whenever they bought the house, whenever they sold the house. And that watercolor is now at every, they're now down in Southern California and it's on their wall. So it's like that right there is just you, especially when it's a family house, right? Think hard about that when they spent the last 20, 30 years raising their family in there. The funny thing is I want to do that with my house that I sold in Sammamish. I just need to send the picture over to her for her to do it up so that, and I think I'll do one for each kid as well, because I know that they'll want that. But thinking about where people are in their lives, and I want to share something that our team has done in the past too, is when you go mutual, you get a little gift. When you go pending inspection, clear pending inspection, you get a gift. When the appraisal is done, you get a gift. All of that stuff is just tiny little $5 gifts from Amazon with a little note that just says, congratulations, we've cleared this milestone. When they go live, active listing, we about a week before, we send a little scented candle, so that they could either put that out if they want to, or they can respond to it. So it's these little touch points are big differentiators from just what everybody else is doing, and it helps actually lower the stress level too. So if you think about it, you go to Amazon, right? You can do overnight shipping with a little note, and it's just that touch that's pretty special. Kelly, you were going to say something?
No, I think everybody's kind of touching on the fact that using your senses when you meet somebody for the first time, your ears, your eyes, your nose is really a critical aspect. And like, okay, just simple thing. You talked about giving them a candle. Well, maybe there's a scent that you caught in that first meeting that, that particular person might enjoy, that came up in conversation. Maybe Joe talked about the watercolor painting, and you did too. If they're moving out of the area and they may not see that house again for who knows how long, would that be a meaningful gift to them at closing? What I like to do in closing gifts, and we're talking about closing gifts, is give them something that stays with them. And that painting could be something in that respect, something that means something to them. I do flat steel art from a company called Real Steel that I really have found that I've never had a bad experience in giving them. And what's crazy is it's often hanging in their new house, wherever that is. And every time they look at it, selfishly, maybe they remember who I am. And it may be a topic of conversation when people come over to their house and say, oh, that is so cool. Where did you get that? You know, that kind of a circle, if you will, that goes with it. But it was a meaningful gift. It wasn't just, hey, here's, and you know, I sometimes we get in a hurry and we give a gift basket of soaps and whatever, candles and that kind of thing. How long did that stick with them? Or did it get stuck? I totally remember the home I bought 15 years ago. I got a closing gift. It was a couple of champagne glasses. Well, I don't even drink champagne. Have I ever used them? No. But I remember okay, great, into the you know, the cabinet where they might never get used again. I try to give them something that's meaningful, and I do the same thing at the meet and greet. So if I've learned something about them that is meaningful, and it's a token, not a gift, it's a token, then I'll try to respond to that. Maybe they're a tea drinker and not a coffee drinker, or maybe they, you know, whatever, you know, something. I always, on a buyer console, I always give them a bag, a small baggie, with my business card in it, shoe covers, and some hand sanitizer. So they don't have to go into a box of dirty shoe covers to grab their own shoe covers.
Oh,
They
nice.
go see a house. And I tell them, keep these with you. You know, matter of fact, Joe, when I worked for you, I wanted you to logo some. I go, I don't think that ever went over so well. Yeah, it's
Do
kind
you
of,
logo yours now?
no, no, and you're absolutely right. I found out why. But the fact of giving them something like that and telling them why, it's like, oh, they're thinking about me beyond. You're talking about unreasonable or whatever that is. You're trying to give them a token at the beginning that makes it easier for them to have the experience of working with you. With a listing appointment, I give them a calendar. And I say, okay, we're gonna start writing on. I give them the calendar and I take a calendar and I start physically writing on it where our goals should be set. So anyway, that kind of thing.
Awesome. Those are good ideas. Thank you.
I like that. I work backwards too. I say, what's the
Yeah.
goal? Where do you need to be? Okay, so we're gonna list on this Thursday. This is what we need to do before then. And so I work backwards like that too. But a visual is really awesome.
Do you
Yeah,
calendar every year, Kelly?
I don't order custom calendars or anything like that.
You know what would be cool to do? This
yeah.
is just an idea, is you have at least 12 homes that you have sold over the last several years. You should pick your 12 favorite pictures, January through December, maybe a little quote and your logo. And that's a calendar that you could probably print out 5, 10, 15, 20. And now when you go there to fill out the calendar, you know, you write it on that calendar and give them that calendar. And now they have your branded calendar. And then every year you start handing out new calendars. And now suddenly you're the calendar guy.
Clever.
Yeah.
That's really fun. Can you write that down?
Yes, I will do that.
I wanted to find out how many shoe covers do you put in the bag? Like a pair or several pairs?
Well, it you know, it certainly depends on if I'm working with an individual or a family or whatever. But if it's a family, I'll put in 2 adult and 2 kids. You know, if there's kids, the kids, again, I'll just say something about from a buyer standpoint. So what is the one thing that you can always do with parents about their children is help them get involved in some way. Even if they're 3 years old, they can get involved. And that's a start of getting them involved because it matters to the parents as much as they may not say it sometimes, if the kids love the place and they can get excited about it. So what do I do when we go up to a door and we're putting in a passcode? Do any of you ever have the kids punch the number in? Yeah. 100% every time. And if they don't know how to do it, the parents will show them how. And again, they just get actively, they've already got their shoe covers on and they're punching the number in on the.
Hey, Kelly, I have one quick question is you said steel, flat steel art. Is there somebody you'd like to use in the area?
Well, there's a company called Real Steel, REALSTEEL, and I've used them. You can ask them for a flat discount. Tell them I sent you.
Okay.
They have, you'll get bombarded in Facebook from them once you go onto their website. But once you start being a customer, they'll give you a flat discount. And it does take about 2 to 4 weeks to get them. So it's one of those things because it's customized. You're putting, in many cases, the client's name on it, a date. The last one I gave out was, you talked about the coordinates of the home. I think, Joe, you were on there with that. So I did, this happened to be a software engineer from Boeing, young gal. And I put, there you go. I put the coordinates of the home on a sign and the address. And she started crying as soon as she opened it up. So that's a common thing. And then what I always get 2 weeks later is after they've hung it, or a month later, after they've moved into their home, I get a picture of them with that sign of where they hung it. So,
You just
and I don't
asked
do
them?
it, they do it for me.
Oh, you don't even have to ask them, huh?
No, I mean, I asked them, hey, when you hang it, would you do me a selfie? And sure. And then sometimes I'll put it on the Facebook or Instagram. Sometimes I just keep it private, depending on them.
Well, Jim's had his hand up. So Jim, what you got?
I'm kind of going back to something that Joe said there. Love what they love. A closing gift that I gave to some people who liked Glenfiddich Scotch.
Mm.
Maybe it was Glenlivet, I don't remember which. But I got them the Scotch they liked, Glenfiddich, and got them glasses with their names engraved on the glasses, along with the Scotch.
There you go. Yeah. And paying attention, using your senses, right? To pay attention.
Yeah, paying attention, exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
Years and years ago, and I would have to try to find it, but we had gotten this image that just was like, it said home, and we could customize established, 2022, or I don't know, we were probably doing this in 2017, but we would frame them. And I don't remember if we put our little diamond logo in the bottom corner on the back or whatever, but we'd make these little home plaques. And it was something that honestly we were buying. There's a burlap paper you can buy, and we could run it through the office printer. And my EA would make them, and we were buying frames at Hobby Lobby. I mean, this was on the cheap. And we'd frame this little home plaque, and we'd give it to them. And like Kelly's talking about the selfies and all that, it cracked me up that when I social media followed these people, that on their Christmas morning picture, on the fireplace mantle was our home plaque. And, when they even, it was the first day of school and the kids were, in the background, you could see the home plaque. And people really seemed to like them. And we gave 100 of them out. Kelly's trying to show you a picture of
Oh,
yeah. But it was really interesting that it honestly, it was very cheap. We were making it. I didn't have a big budget for it. I mean, it was really economical. So you guys, we're talking about some pretty cool stuff. I mean, I had a lake home that we sold on Rosinger that we made a big wooden sign for. We had to have somebody with a CNC machine make it because of its size. And some of that stuff's pretty elaborate and you got to spend some money. But, I've been at all financial levels of real estate. So sometimes just the personal touch of something that is personalized, but you make actually goes a long way also.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Hey, Dan, do you have something doesn't allow us to put a JPEG on here, it looks like on the chat?
Somebody has.
Yeah, you gotta share it from Google Drive. It's kind of weird.
Is there some kind of security thing that I would change?
Well, it says you can't do JPEG or HEIC file, or it says it says Dan. No, it says the host is not allowing.
Joe put one in there. And,
Yeah, I have to use Google Links to do it though.
oh, is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, when I went to open it, it was like, you gotta do this and can't do that and whatever. And then he put I'm assuming a second copy of it in an
I see,
openable way.
I
Yeah, I was
see
just
a
doing a
PDF
copy.
and I see 2 JPEGs and then something else that's weird. So,
Yeah, that's supposed to be an image file of a doormat that like has their names and their boot print and it was I mean that was a recovery play. You guys can kind of get the idea. It was a welcome home mat, but it had like boots that had the dad's name and something that looked more like high heels and then the baby's feet and then the dog prints. And we had somebody on our team miss a closing gift, and 2 or 3 years later that home I was unaware. I didn't know our buyer's agent didn't give them a gift. And unfortunately, this person was from my sphere, so they knew like 400 of my closest friends. And so 3 or 4 years later, we post a picture. We had a lady that's a social media influencer building puzzles. And she does all these puzzles online. I don't get it. I didn't know you could be a social media influencer with jigsaw puzzles. So we had a jigsaw puzzle made with the picture of the new home. And so I posted a picture of like, hey, my favorite day delivering keys. And it was a picture of the puzzle and the coffee mug and whatever. And she just attacks me on social media. She's like, when did this program start? And so I call her and come to find out we didn't give her a closing gift and she'd been resentful for 3 years. And so like, I had this doormat made, they'd had a baby since then. So we put the baby's name on it and the dog, I went through like 900 Facebook photos to figure out what the name of the dang dog was. And, I just wanted to love what she loves because she was so damn pissed off over not getting a $50 closing gift. And I wasn't even the one that did it. It's just I was the guy that owned the team that did it. So I did things to make it right. And I think you just use creativity things like, with Emily and her puzzles. It's like, well, she's got like designer puzzles and they're probably really expensive and all this stuff. And, when you order from a company you find on Google a custom puzzle, it's not going to be like the most amazing quality, but the gesture of she's the queen of puzzles and you just put her new house on a puzzle. That's something they remember. I mean, the follow-up with them and a lot of people is always just really great and easy because you kind of enter into a new level of relationship with them.
That's cool. Now here's a total hack, and Nicholas is going to be sad he's not here to hear this. But when you list a home, make sure your transaction coordinator takes note of the new buyer's phone number, email address, and you send them a welcome home gift about a month later. And then a year later, you send them a an annual market review. If you do that, I guarantee you have a potential future client, whether or not they sell their house or refer you. But because right now there's only 12 people here talking about this, the exception is that this level of hospitality is taken care of. The rule is thanks for my commission check and off I go to the next possible lead. So, those orphan clients, I've talked to the guy that I sold a house to in Woodinville twice a year. How's it going? How's the house? How's everything going? I guarantee his agent didn't. Why? His agent's a Redfin agent.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my client as far as I'm concerned. We've developed a good rapport. And I do an annual review on his house for him. And all you have to do is pull the email and phone number off the contract or out of the communication and make sure it gets into your database and then set up your action plan afterwards. There's no rule against you giving a housewarming gift to the clients that bought the home that you listed. There's no rule against that. All right, we're at 11. Awesome conversation, everybody. Nick, thanks for coming. Nicholas, thanks for coming. Ashley, thanks for coming. Go back and tell your friends next week. I'll be here. I look forward to seeing y'all.
Thanks, Dan.
You bet.
Bye, everyone.